September, it's come, it's gone, I'm awake, it's ended. Did I fulfill my TBR for September? No. So, hello, welcome to the Ponderings of Pete. I'm Pete, I read fantasy, I read sci-fi, I read some nonfiction, maybe some historical fiction in the future, we'll see. I read a bunch of stuff. I read some books in September. This is a September wrap-up. Let's talk about what I've read. First up, let's start with The Dragons of Spring Dawning. This is the third book in the Dragonlance Chronicles series. I was reading it with a bunch of people who I'm just gonna, too many names, putting them right here, linking them down in the description. They're cool. We've done some live shows, also linked down in the description. So for The Dragon of Spring Dawning, we are doing a live show, which the date will be down in the description because I can't recall it off the top of my head right now. It's somewhere near the end of October. So this is the third book. Did I like this book? I had mixed feelings. It was an okay book. I probably will not be continuing on with any more Dragonlance books just because it's just like, this is only an okay book. I really don't feel like continuing with just okay books. I think there were several problematic things in this book that just didn't age well. The character lines, it felt like some specific characters that I may have liked in the past made decisions that were not in accordance with their character. And it kind of felt like they were steamrolled into this one specific storyline because it was. I was not a big fan of this book. I definitely think the storylines in Dragons of Winter Night were a lot better, specifically in that last half. And then the quality just went down for Dragons of Spring Dawning. So yeah, that's what I thought. The next book that I read, which I enjoyed immensely, I read this in like 2 days, Dune Messiah. So this is the second book in the Dune series by Frank Herbert. I really like this book. I've read Dune a few times, never gotten to Dune Messiah, but now I have, which is, some people would say that a lot of the storylines in Dune are wrapped up in Dune Messiah. And fully kind of just understood and shown in Dune Messiah. So that was very, 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 very interesting to see. I really liked it. I gushed about a few things. I'm going to be doing a talk with Evie and a few other people. We're doing a live show sometime in October, so keep an eye out for that. I'll try to mention it. The date will also be here. I really like that. I'm going to gush about it with a few people. And there's a movie coming out, if you didn't know, October 22nd. So I'm really excited for that. The next book that I read, and I didn't read these in this order, it's all wibbly wobbly jumbled up, was The Price of Spring. That's right, I finished it. I finished the Long Price Quartet last month, and I'm still, like, every once in a while just think about that ending, because it was, wow. This is definitely one of those series that you're not sure what the ending's going to be. Because you look through the series and you're like, is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Who knows? This could succeed. This could fail. I don't know. It definitely delves into the aftermath of the events of Autumn War. Like the other ones, there's like a 10 to 15 year time jump. I believe it was 15 between the events of Autumn War and Price of Spring. But you definitely have several sides. People hate each other. Some people don't hate each other. And there's some crazy things that happen in this book. Whew. I'm going to talk about it with some people. We're going to have a live show. Also sometime in October. Date here. Hopefully I'll have it by the time I put this out. So yeah, check out the live show on this date. I'm super excited to talk about this book. Finally. Guys, if you haven't, go read The Long Price Quartet. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I don't know how to tell you. Like, it's just... This man, David Abraham, knew what he was doing when he wrote these books. Like, he knew what he was writing. There are some emotional moments. There are some just heartbreaking because of what happens in this book. And heartbreaking for me does not just say, oh, characters died. No. Heartbreaking can be a number of different things. So I'm not saying that people die. I'm not saying people don't die. But there are some heartbreaking moments. And I can't tell you much else than that. They were set up. They were just, life goes on. But read The Long Price Quartet. because it will probably break you. And that is a wonderful thing when a book can break you and make you think a little bit. So check it out. Next up, I think this was my only self-published that I actually read this month. But that is The Nest of Intrigue by S.J. Saunders. Finished this up. Full disclosure, he sent this to me for an honest review. I was like, sure. He sent me the whole entire series, actually, so I probably will continue with the series. Because the first book was decent. It's definitely your typical, feels a little bit 1 or 2 steps removed from like a lit RPG type of book. It flows a little bit like a D&D session with, you can tell like, oh, there was a rest here and a rest there, and they had a combat session here. And I definitely think it translated well. If this was a D&D session, it translated really well because it flowed well. I think the combat descriptions were great. I definitely saw what was happening in combat pretty well. And, you know, it might have some tropes like they met in a tavern and, hey, here's your quest, let's go do it. But it definitely was a good book. It hit some things with, you had characters with certain backstories. But I'm excited to see where it goes from here, because from my impression, it starts out in a conflict in one tiny town, and then the conflict or tension of the series spreads. And those seeds were definitely sown in this book well, and I'm excited to see how our characters grow over the course of the 6 books that are currently out. So check this out. As with all the books, there'll be links down below, so check them out on bookshop.org. There'll be affiliate links. You know what that means. The next book that I read was Dragonfly Following by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the second book in the Shadows of the Yap series, which is a series about war in a world where human society has evolved around in more insectoid things than mammalian things like we have. For instance, our cultures love the wolf. Well, guess what? They have entire races of people that have, revere the mantis. And we're not talking about a small mantis, we're talking about a big mantis, like giant mantis. Like they're giant insects in this world. And these people are able to access ancestor arts. Bees and the wasps and the dragonflies, they all can sprout magical wings as one of their ancestor arts, for instance. So yeah, that's kind of like the basis for a good portion of the magic. It's a little bit flintlock, so we're starting getting into technology, and we even found like an air-powered gun that was created. So technology is slowly advancing. And this is about a war. The Wasp Empire is invading the lowlands. Let's see what's happening. You get some spy action. You get in Dragonfly Following, we get some siege action. So there are two sieges at the very least in this book that were immaculate, that were amazing. But this book suffered from having too many POVs. Because there were too many POVs, and this is only like a 400-page book, there felt like there was a bunch of POVs and a bunch of moments that were not as emotionally impactful as they could have been, and some of the POVs felt needless to a certain extent. It was hard to say, like, why okay, you're doing this, that's fine. They might seem like they were there, but it was definitely hard to connect to a lot of the characters because there were so many POVs. There were also events that happened that were set up in the first book. They're like, oh, it's cool when this happens, that I felt were kind of rushed through because there was so much happening. There were so many POVs and there was so much just stuff. It was a good book. I think Empire Black and Gold was better because it was tighter, because we had less POVs to deal with. To a certain extent, you had less diverging storylines. So yeah, there were some good moments, there were some great character moments, but there was also some like, I don't know why I should care about this moments. Definitely continuing this. This is part of the August of the Apt read along that the Library of Alexandria is doing on his channel, which will be linked down below if you want to come join us. So yeah, that was definitely continuing next month with this series. Probably going to end up reading all 10. The next one, the very last book I read, and I actually just finished this book. It's on my October TBR, but I just finished this, and this is like on October 1st. And that is The Dust of Dreams by Stephen Erickson. This is book 9 in Malazan, Book of the Fallen, and it was a wild ride. I think my first thoughts would be, it's not as bad as people say it is. Like, Dust of Dreams, I feel like, is one that people consistently ranked the lowest. And I'm not sure where it's going to go in my ranking. But because it was ranked really low in a lot of people's videos, and because specific people were like, trash, you know who you are, I went in with really low expectations. And that's probably part of the reason why I think it's actually a decent book. I don't think it's an amazing book, but I don't think it deserves like what I've heard. And it's... There are some moments and some death things. There are some moments in this book that are just like, oh my gosh. So, was the first 200 pages amazing? Yes. Was the next 900 pages as amazing? No. He definitely stretched out those, 900 pages. And then the last 100 pages was phenomenal. I think that's fair. But that 900 pages is not as trash as I've seen some people say. This was a good book. I enjoyed it. It's not like my favorite because Reaper's Gale still takes that. But definitely there was some payoff for some storylines that I saw coming. There was also some payoffs that I didn't see coming. So, going into Crippled God, I'm interested. I mean, I'm definitely interested. I can't wait to get to it. But Dust of Dreams is actually probably the reason why I didn't get to everything on my TBR this month. Because I meant to start it I think on the 21st because I wanted to have like a solid week to do it. I ended up starting it early because I was like reading other books and I was like, this is good, but it's not like gripping me because I just like kept looking at Dust of Dreams. Like, I really wanted to get to it because I haven't read Malazan in like 3 months. So I just did it and ended up not completing other books, which is fine. You probably saw some of them on my October TBR. That's what I read. Have you read some of these books? Did you like them? Did you not like them? Do you have any questions? Tell me about it in the comments. As always, if you're looking to buy one of these books, there's affiliate links down below. I will make a small amount off of them if you buy through these affiliate links. But it's with bookshop.org, which is a non-profit organization that's trying to become an Amazon alternative, which is nice. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, all that jazz, and most importantly, get some rest, guys, because it's important.